So I think what you're going to see is, in the end, this whole concept of applying to jobs will go away to some degree over time. I think AI is going to make it easier to figure out who are the right potential people. But I also think it's going to be, those people are going to be getting pinged all the time. And so then they're going to start to tune out. And so a lot of what I'm building with Whispered is, how do I have that permanent dialogue with you about your career? And if I can do that, then I think it gets really interesting.
Hi everyone, this is Alastair, and thanks for tuning in to the AI Cognitive Shift. This podcast is a collaboration between AInews.com and my own podcast, The Venture Variety Show, in which we look at AI's impact on society, culture, and the future of work. And when we launched this podcast, one of the topics I wanted to cover was recruiting. I wanted to look at how companies were filling open positions, how people were finding jobs, applying, interviewing, and that's exactly what we have in today's episode. In this episode, our guest is Andy Mowat. Andy is the founder of Whispered, an executive recruiting website. And the tagline of Whispered is, "Your next role won't be posted, it'll be whispered." Andy has some insights on how recruiters and talent teams are reacting to all the AI-generated noise in the system, but Andy also feels that there's space still, there's room, there's a need still for humans to be involved in the recruiting aspect and in the hiring. But you know what? Andy can describe it best. So let's jump in and say hello to Andy Mowat, founder of Whispered.
Hey, I'm great, Alastair. It's great to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for joining the show. Tell us more about who you are, what you do, and this company you founded called Whispered.
Yeah, I've been a go-to-market exec at 4 unicorns. I generally have run like RevOps and pieces of marketing and little pieces of sales, Upwork, Box, Culture Amp, and most recently Carta. But I've always loved helping people with their careers, making connections. And I've spent a lot of I guess I got burned in 01 and 08 with the career market. So I got really adept to like, what are the tactics and strategies? And so Whispered effectively started out as a place for top execs to share roles and insights on companies. And it's turned into a platform where top execs can collaborate on unposted roles. We have the deepest database of unposted roles, tactics, company insights, and then just the networks and the connections. When you think about it, it's really hard when you pop your head up as a senior executive. Roles aren't posted, your network is stale, it's lonely, you don't know how the game is played. I think there's a lot of this game as you start to get into more and more senior levels where there's the talent function, there's the recruiters, there's the companies themselves, and it's quite complex. And so we've really tried to make that easier for people.
Yeah, are there any stats on unposted roles? I would assume a majority of executive positions are unposted, or is there anything more specific?
We ran our data, and because execs contribute both anything they see, and I think we came up with at the director level, it's probably about 30 to 40% are unposted. So call it 60 to 70% are posted. But you take that next click up to VP and it kind of flips. It's more like 70 to 80% are unposted. And at the C level, nobody posts anything. There's a lot of reasons why, but A, companies are thinking them through. B, they've got whole teams underneath them that they don't want to shake up. And then C, it's like you post one of these senior roles and you're going to get 3,000 applicants, most of whom are unqualified. And so then your recruiting team has to spend time saying, no, you're not a fit. And that kind of hurts your brand with all these people that are kind of like, that company that kind of dinged me when I'm amazing. And so I think I understand it. Like, I don't think if I was posting a VP plus level role at a prominent company, I would post it. And so then you're left with the choice of, do you search on your own or do you hire a recruiter? And Whispered allows, we don't do the searches like recruiters do, but we definitely help companies on that side.
And you have a tagline at Whispered. I want you to say it so I don't butcher it.
Oh, it's great. Your next role won't be posted. It'll be whispered. I deeply believe that. There's so many aspects of the job search that are whispered, right? Like hey, this CEO is amazing, or these people just race around but haven't done it, but haven't announced it yet, or these people just did a deal with Snowflake and they're breaking out, right? All of that stuff. Or you do not want to work for the CEO and here's the toxic situation in the executive ranks, or they actually are struggling a lot, but they may not tell it to you. And so there's all of those things that are whispered in addition to roles themselves.
Great. Well, let's jump into the AI portion of this. How do you use AI at Whispered, first of all?
We use it almost everywhere. I purposely haven't hired a single person. I'm totally AI'd, which is fun and insane at the same time. So, we use AI to build out our company database. We constantly have bots out there crawling the web, understanding more and more about companies, right? So, one question everyone wants to know is that company hire remote or not? And so, we send a bot out to scrape the website, look at the job postings, and try to determine that. So, if a candidate is, I just spoke to an amazing candidate in Ohio today. And they're looking for mostly unposted roles. I'm sorry, mostly remote roles. And so we want our database to be able to do that. We also are scraping lots of other information on companies like headcount growth and things like that. So that's all being done. So we have a free database of 6,000 plus venture-backed companies. We also are scraping like which VCs are invested in them. So that's that side. Executives who want help on their next role apply to us. We will also AI them and understand, are they people that we think we can help? And then we will actually write a executive directory listing that we share with top recruiters and talent teams as well too. I use AI to determine who I spend time talking to. And then we also have taken all of our knowledge, the 75 to 80 articles that are really in depth, and we've put an AI career coach on top of that people can access. So those are some of the areas. And then I've got kind of two more that I'm really thinking about deeply as well.
That's amazing. I don't want to gloss over the fact that you said you haven't hired anyone. It's all you. I mean, maybe 5 years ago, maybe even a couple of years ago. I don't know. Have you thought about that? That this would probably be a multi-person operation. Yes, you
Yeah.
would use a lot of technology to automate things, but you would have other people on staff with you, maybe another founder even.
Absolutely. I do think about that. So I do have people helping, nobody full time. So I have two engineers, one marketer, and then a couple RevOps people are building some of our like data side. But you're right, nobody's helping me full time. I thought a lot about this, right? Like it's easier and easier with AI coding, remote work, to be able to build a company where you don't need to raise money, which I think is important for me because I want to keep the bar on the talent high.
Mhm.
And you see so many of these companies like they raise and like go shoot to the moon. And I think for me, there's so much inefficiency and insights that I'm finding in all these networks cross over that I'm enjoying not having to put the pedal down yet. And by not having to hire people, it's been great. Like, yes, does it burn me out sometimes? Yes, but it's so much more empowering that I can be thinking about the entire funnel and the entire experience, and I can just go make changes to it.
hmm hmm And in time, I don't think this is going to be unusual. I mean, it's my feeling that solo founded companies using AI to take care of many tasks. I don't think it's going to be commonplace.
Yeah, yeah. And the cool thing is people keep handing me new AI tools to test for free. Um,
Good point.
so I've got like 4 or 5 that I'm testing now, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, can this help me or not? And if it does, then how can I help them?
Speaking of AI tools, let's talk specifically about recruiting, job searching, finding candidates. How is AI kind of changing the game, whether you're a job seeker or a company looking to fill an unposted position or even a posted role?
Yeah, I'll give an example in kind of my world that I encountered, and I was like, my jaw just was like, wow, I realize how the world's changed. So I hire a lot on Upwork.
Hmm.
I posted, actually used to work there. I posted, like 3 or 4 years ago, I would post a dev role or a virtual assistant role, and you'd get like over the course of 4 or 5 days, 40 to 50 really crappy applicants and one or two that were really thoughtful. And you would be able just to winnow them out right there. And
Yeah.
recently, when I posted one, I got 50 amazing applicants within 5 minutes, right? Perfectly written. It was obvious they were all AI'd. And then now you're like, oh, how do I sort through these, right? It used to be that people that just didn't do the work or didn't do it well kind of sorted themselves out. And so I think companies are really struggling with this, right? Like it's the job, like there are services, Whispered is definitely not one of them, that you can just have the AI apply for you, right? So if you're a hiring manager, you're just going to get absolutely blown up with resumes and backgrounds that look really good. And so then you've got to go the next step, which is like you got to interview all these people, you got to talk to them. And so that can be really hard. So we're using AI. I think people are starting to use more AI. And so if you look at that, people keep bemoaning like, oh, I'm not getting through. Well, the reason you're not getting through is because everyone's doing the exact same thing. And so what you end up with is it's companies are overloaded with AI applications. So they're increasingly not posting those. I remember recently I pinged a friend, I was like, he had a director level role open at a hot company, and I pinged him and I was like, hey man, I got two great people. And he's like, hey, I've had 33 other people ping me. They also have great people. Can you just have them apply? Right. And so then his recruiting team is going to be overloaded and they're going to just throw up their hands. So I think what you're going to see is in the end, this whole concept of applying to jobs will go away to some degree over time. I think AI is going to make it easier to figure out who are the right potential people. But I also think it's going to be those people are going to be getting pinged all the time. And so then they're going to start to tune out. And so a lot of what I'm building with Whispered is how do I have that permanent dialogue with you about your career? And if I can do that, then I think it gets really interesting.
It sounds like recruiters are going to be impacted, that that they're likely to be replaced by AI if what you're, that's kind of what I picked up on what you just said.
I don't think so. I think there's
No?
definitely
Okay.
a need for recruiters and stuff that we don't do, right? So if you think about it, recruiters are going to need to engage people because and
Okay.
it's going to get harder and harder to engage people. I think they're going to need to, keep convincing people to listen through the noise will get harder and harder. And at Whispered, we don't outbound to anybody. I think that's where we're different, right? Like we work for the executive, not the company. And so I think companies are still going to need people to help them find, identify, engage, and sell great talent. So I don't see that going away. I do see maybe at the lower end, companies may be able to tee those things up and have AI do pieces of it for them. But like still, if you're like, I really want that person and that person's not 100% ready to leave their current company, like you're going to need somebody to talk that through, whether that's an internal recruiter or a third party recruiter.
What advice do you give to people who are looking for jobs if everyone is using AI to write, to clean up their resumes and write cover letters and find jobs?
We give away actually every secret we have
Hmm.
in our guides. We've written like 80 guides that are deep, thoughtful pieces on different things, right? So how do you do your LinkedIn? We actually haven't written anything on resume because I rarely see at the exec level. Like resumes come in very late in the game. But at a fundamental level, I would say you need to be really clear in what you do and make that really compelling. And AI is good at the vanilla, kind of rounding around the edges, but you gotta
Right.
have to you have to think about it. You can't just be like, here I am, here's my resume, go communicate me perfectly. But I think if you can like send that through a bunch of times, like we talked about our kind of tagline, your next role won't be posted, it'll be whispered. Like AI wrote that, and but it wrote it with me spending 5 or 6 hours just ideating into it until it came out. And so I coach a lot of people, which is you look at it and you're going to have 20 seconds for a recruiter or a bot to scan through you. I think the biggest coaching I give is you need to be comfortable niching down. You can't be everything to everybody. And if you are, you're like, hey, I could do this or this or this. Nobody will remember you. And so what you really need to do is, I talked to a person today, it's like operations. And I'm like, but operations can mean so many things to so many different people. Like, how do you get more specific on what you do? I talked to another person this morning, and we were talking about and I don't want to talk too specifically about what they did, but we were talking, and I was like, here's how you can get more specific and be more memorable and stand out more. So I think there's that piece of it. I think networks and leveraging your networks is becoming more and more important. And that's really what Whisper's not just about Andy's network, it's about all the members that are in Whispered as well too, helping each other, connecting people to things. And so I think those things can definitely help you.
Can you say how many people you've worked with or placed or any kind of metric like that?
Over 100. We've been only open for officially for 2 months.
Yeah, right.
So I've been running it quietly for, with like friends and people I wanted to help before that. But yeah, we've definitely helped more than 100 folks, and we keep the bar high. So I would say we've helped thousands of people because we give away stuff for free. People that we've worked for on a paid membership is, over 100.
People are asking you to drive test new tools all the time. Is that kind of where we're going? It's just more and more AI is just going to be dumped into the whole network. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm testing a tool now that does like AI role play interviews. I've played with
Oh,
some of those in the sales side. I think those are interesting, right? Like I hop on with people and I'm assessing two things to determine if we can work with them. One is, do they have the background to do the job, right? So
mhm.
yeah, I think I could replace that with AI. And then the other one, which maybe I could replace too, but it might take a little longer, is like, are they a giver and are they a helper? And so generally I'll ask them, what companies you're looking at. And if they tell me, I'm like, great. If they're like, I can't tell you, I'm like, I don't think you're kind of one of our people that we can help. But we had that the other week, and somebody told me, I was like, oh, that CEO I'm talking to next week. So it's amazing on that. But back to your question on AI, I think we're working with this company to build like go to market screens for things like a CRO or a VP of RevOps or a CMO. Like, what would that interview look like? And we're early in that process, but in theory, I should be able to build a tool that can help people practice interviewing.
That sounds amazing, practicing interview, because well, I mean, I'll use my own son as an example because he's in college, and I've helped prepped him, and I told him stuff just based on my experience. But and in fact, I told him, I said he had to practice describing who he is, because I said that's the first question they're going to ask you. You know, tell me about yourself. And he said that was indeed the case. A long way of me asking, you know, is our interviews changing? I mean, are we still trying to like ask gotcha questions, or is it just, or is interviewing questions just more about verifying maybe what our research and AI has already told us?
It's really interesting. Like I mean, there's all the AI will do what you tell it. It's not creative in and of itself. And
That's for sure.
so I think it's going to be really, I think it's going to disadvantage people that aren't good at it. And I see a lot of these people, and I think Whisper tries to help, right? Like, how do you articulate yourself?
Right.
How do you be clear in what you want? I find so many people just barf into the thing, into LinkedIn, like, here's this long list of stuff, right? And they somehow think that's going to optimize for the algorithm. I think the algorithm's going to get smarter and smarter, right?
Moving on, let's talk about, you work with a lot of different venture firms, helping them to find roles for their portfolio companies. What kind of trends are you seeing across VC talent teams?
Wow. I'd say there's a general narrowing of the teams. I'm seeing there, I know one that just pared their team down from 3 to 1. I think
Oh,
there's
no.
a lot of teams have kind of gone the cutting them down. It's fun. We're actually building features to try to help them because we know they're all swamped, right? Like they get pulled in a lot of directions and get asked to do so many different things. I'd say there's lots of different flavors of VC talent teams. Like some are doing the search. Some are consultative. You see different backgrounds from them. Some come from in-house, some come from other recruiting firms. And I'm seeing those evolve a lot. For me, I love these people. They're like, I spent an hour and a half with a really top 10 VCs talent team last week, just riffing on like how the world works and how connections are. And
Uh-huh.
it's fun to confirm what we're hearing and doing. I'd say, I'll give you an example just of one of the features we just shipped this week, which we love, right? Which is we've learned that VC talent teams don't know all the unposted roles in their own portfolio.
Mhm.
You would think that they would, but they don't.
Right.
And probably for a number of reasons. One is they don't have enough time to get to everyone. Two is maybe the partners don't tell them those things, or maybe like new recruiting team at Portco hasn't gotten to know them yet, doesn't know that they can actually help. And so what we're doing is we have the deepest database of unposted roles in go-to-market today. We don't have engineering roles. We will eventually, but we're focused on go-to-market. And then we have like 7,000 companies where we've mapped those to the VCs and the PE firms. And so we realized a couple months ago, we were talking to all these recruiters, like some of the bigger names on the recruiting side, not the VCs, but the recruiting teams. And they were like, yeah, the VCs talent teams keep asking us like, hey, if you hear of any unposted roles in our portcos, like let us know. And so then I started asking the talent teams and they were like, yeah, we don't know them all. And so we now are flipping people on one at a time with alerts for free where we can basically send them that information. They can use that information to send it to a partner like, hey, partner, did you know they're hiring for a new CMO? Partner's like, oh, of course I knew, I just forgot to tell you. Or, hey, actually, I didn't know. Let's get on the phone with the CEO and figure out what's going on. And so they can use that intelligence to spot roles there. And so this is a good example of like where our platform can help empower that. And it builds on like the mutual symbiotic relationship we've got with a lot of these talent teams.
But that's amazing. You said your observation that some venture firms are paring down their talent teams. Is that just cost cutting measures, or is that because they're replacing some of the tasks with AI?
I don't think they're replacing it with AI. I think it's really hard to replace this executive level talent with AI. Maybe in like 15 years, it might be possible. But I think especially at the executive level, like a senior level top GTM leader for like a CRO isn't going to talk with an AI, right? Like you've got to have those conversations. You still have to engage them in events. I think if I had to theorize on it, it's very few teams are doing it where they're seeing it as a complete competitive advantage. And then I think the other thing is they're becoming clear that it's not, we don't just recruit for you. We're going to help give you all the best practices. So they're realizing they can do those with smaller teams.
Do those VPs, do they have a chance of finding roles if they're not using AI? I'm going back to the AI portion of this conversation. Like, how important is it for folks
I
to?
don't think AI is important to find the roles.
Okay.
Maybe one day it will be. I think AI is more important to prep for those interviews, right? Like if you have a candidate come on in to speak to you and they aren't like deeply, I mean, if I say, hey, great, any questions, and yours are not deeply perceptive and thoughtful, interview's over.
Yeah.
And so I think if you're not listening to 3 or 4 podcasts from your hiring manager, if they podcast, reading all their writing, reading every social post they've ever done, understanding the company, having a thesis on like the company's go-to-market motion, if you're not doing all that stuff, you are, every chance you get to be in that interview, you are sub-optimizing for that. And so for me, it's like I do podcasts just like you do. Every time I do a podcast, I just have AI do deep research. I was like, find me 5 of their podcasts. My podcast is around how do senior executives hire. And I was like, tell me if they've ever talked about hiring on any podcast. I would like to listen to those segments. Tell me, and then I was like, tell me the right? So I'm doing that research. And so I think you are using AI in the process. I don't think you're using it to find the roles or to get into the roles yet, but I think you are definitely should be using it to prepare for those conversations.
Drop the name of your podcast so people can find it.
Yeah, it's called How I Hire. It is launches. We've got 8 episodes in the can. I think it launches this week, so we'll see.
Oh, that's great. Oh, okay, great. By the time this comes out, your podcast will have been out there for a week or so. So that's great. Winding down, Andy, any final thoughts on AI and recruiting and kind of what you're seeing?
I would say, I mean, I've been in it since 2008 when I worked directly for Fabio at Upwork, or it was Elance at the time. So I've been passionate about the idea of talent and recruiting for a very long time. And I think it's one of the most difficult parts of the business to AI because it's like I meet you and I'm like, I like Alastair's exactly like the person I want, except I need him like 1 foot taller and with like a third arm, right? And it's like, cannot produce that, right? But it's like if you were doing like image generation, you're like, yes, done. Here's Alastair, a foot taller with a third arm. But like people are who they are. And so I think that's why I love this space because it is highly inefficient. And I think it'll be one of the last spaces to be fully AI'd. But I think people are going to throw a lot of talent at it.
Why do you think that it'll be one of the last spaces? What's your thought there?
Most of that information's not out there. And that's also where I'm building, right? Like, it's like,
I see.
Who is searching, who is not, right? I think we all know the LinkedIn open for work is at best, right? Like, and some of the best people don't turn it on, even if they're like starting to slowly look. And even if they do, it's not the greatest. And so like, what's in people's heads about their emotions, their careers? Do they enjoy it? You know, it's like, I look at it and I say, every time somebody's at a company for like a year and 2 months, I'm like, boy, that must have sucked. Right? Like, because you onboarded and pretty quickly thereafter, you probably realize it wasn't the right place for you. But and I mean, maybe I'm saying that, but like, I actually enjoyed Cardi, even though it was like a year and 4 months. But I had an amazing time. So I don't want that to be there. But it's like, there's so much emotions when you leave, you've probably been thinking about that for 3 or 6 months. But how do you find out about that? People don't share that anywhere, those pains. And a lot of the AI I'm building is like, how do we support people in this journey? And I think that's a harder thing to do than how do I put data in and figure out the answer out, right? And so that's why I think that's why I think AI will take a little bit longer for talent.
Any final thoughts, Andy?
No, I love what you're doing. I think it's like thinking through this confluence of venture, talent, companies, operators, investors. It's a really interesting multi-tentacle like set of relationships. So it's really been a fun conversation.
Yeah, well, likewise. Well, thanks a ton. Andy Mowat, the How I Hire podcaster and also founder of Whispered. Thank you so much, Andy.
I love this. Thank you, Alastair.
Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the AI Cognitive Shift. Please remember to like and subscribe to this video. And if you're on YouTube, go over to ainews.com and subscribe to that channel, as well as my own, The Venture Variety Show. As always, give us your feedback, tell us what you thought of this episode, and give us some suggestions on who you would like to see interviewed for the next The AI Cognitive Shift. On behalf of ainews.com and myself, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.